Good morning, everyone. I am Leah Dixon here live from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. This is my regular Wednesday morning Facebook Live. I go live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And this is the first Wednesday of the month, which means that this is actually my card class to go as well. So what's going to happen, I'm actually changing it up a little bit. I used to do 3 cards. I'm going to start doing 4 cards. And so what happens is I'm going to make 4 cards with you today using one collection of products. And then if you love these cards and want to make them yourself, you can actually get the make and take kit for these for free as a thank you from me if you place a $60 or more order using my link and everything so that the order goes through me. Oh, hi, Kim. Watching on your phone. Oh, I always find that so hard. So that is how today works. So this is a card class to go, and I'm super excited because it's using one of the new suites from our new Stampin' Up catalog. So if you don't have a new catalog from me yet, it just went live last month. Please contact me and I'd be happy to arrange to you. And the other exciting thing about it is that when I started planning this card class, I planned it using a whole suite, the Boho Vibes card, or Boho Vibes Suite, not knowing that Stampin' Up was going to be doing a suite sale this month. So for the whole month, they have a sale. It's buy one, get one 50% off on suites or products in suites. So keep that in mind as you're watching, that with the purchase of a second suite, you can get everything you see here today for half price. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to get started crafting so you guys can see this awesome product and the beautiful cards I've got for you today. Here we go. So this is the stamp set that comes in the Boho Vibes Suite. It's called Sunshine Vibes. And this is actually, if you're on my team, this is our team meeting for June. So this is the stamp set we're using. We're not using the dies with it. We're just playing with the stamp set. And it's actually so versatile because it's got some kind of bigger images, some beautiful sentiments, but then some really fun stuff to create background pieces. So I'm really enjoying this stamp set on its own. But you can take it to a whole new level when you pair it up with its matching, I believe these are also called Sunshine. Yeah, Sunshine Vibes dies. So you've got all the bits to make different rainbows. You've got some stars and hearts, some leaves that also go in the rainbow. And then you've got the ability to cut out just a straight up rainbow or all the colored layers of a rainbow. So it's really fun, easy to use die set, which is what I like. I'm not a big, I love the look of fussy dies, but I'm not a big user of fussy dies. So that is what we're working with today. I'm going to set those off to the side, show you the other 2 pieces in the suite. So there are the absolutely gorgeous muted palette dots. And so even though these come from different color families, we've got an in color here with cloud cover. We've got one of our regals with mossy meadow. You know what? I'm not sure which yellow that is actually meant to be. And it doesn't say on here. Interesting. But it's a really lovely yellow. And then we've got our petal pink. I wonder if it's not bright enough to be lemon lolly. I'm not sure. Maybe it's our new darling duckling. So that is our muted palette dots, and they're just the perfect accent for today's cards especially, but for any cards. And then we have our designer series paper that comes in the kit. So we've got some really bold patterns on one side. And it's all in one color palette. So you've got Daffodil Delight, Secret Sea, Petal Pink, Cajun Craze, Cloud Cover, Mossy Meadow. So really, really nice kind of earth tones. Fancy patterns on one side, and the other side is more monochromatic with our Secret Sea, Petal Pink, more Secret Sea with Cloud Cover Mix, and same there. Some more Petal Pink, and then another bold. Maybe I showed you guys the wrong side. Yeah, there we go. I should have done Mossy Meadow for our bold patterns, and then we've got the stripes here in the full color palette again. So that is the Designer Series paper that goes with it. It's really nice paper, whether you're looking to be kind of bold or subtle. It's great. So loving that paper. All right, so let's get started crafting. The first card that we're going to make today shows off my favorite die, which is the one that just creates the rainbow. Now, this rainbow is kind of cool because you can cut it out and save the pieces and just use the pieces. Or in this case, I cut it out of my card front. And so I've actually not got the pieces. I've saved all those rainbow pieces, and then I can go ahead and use them in Very Vanilla, or take my blending brushes to them and ink them up and use them on something else. But for this one, I have just kept the blank space, and that's what we're going to be working with. So I'm actually going to start with this piece where I've die cut the rainbow out of it. And it's nice because it's one die, you're done. You don't have to line up those layers or anything. All right. Now, I don't want to have to clean my desktop today, so I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath there. And now you can really see as well, this is Very Vanilla cardstock that I'm using, not basic white. And we're going to grab our Daffodil Delight, and we're going to stamp our sun onto our rainbow. So we have like the half circle shape here, semicircle, and I'm going to come in and line it up so that the bottom edge of the circle goes off of my rainbow so that I don't get any missing chunks. So it's, imagine it didn't actually stamp there, but it would have stamped a straight line across my paper if my Very Vanilla wasn't so thick. So now that I've stamped my half circle on my rainbow, we've got these awesome rays, and we actually are going to stamp them twice to get this full sunshine done. So I'm going to come in and line this up so that my bottom ray and my top ray is center on my circle, and my bottom ray is just at the edge of my rainbow. And then I'm going to ink it up again and come back in on the other side and just use the rays that are already there to kind of help me line up. So it's really forgiving, really easy to line up. So love it. Oh, good morning, Gail. Thanks for joining. This is my monthly card class to go because it's the first Wednesday of the month. And we've just stamped this beautiful sunshine in Daffodil Delight. All right, so now with that stamped on there, the next thing we're going to do is take a piece of our Designer Series paper. And so I have cut this at 3 7/8 by 3 inches. And what we're going to do is we are going to glue it behind our rainbow. Okay, so when I adhere this to my card, I'm actually just going to do a tiny bit of glue kind of near the top of the rainbow, but on the sides and down the side. But I'm really, like, I'm not even putting a bead of glue. I'm putting like the thinnest, flattest layer of glue and across the top. And then I'm going to come in with the fine tip of my glue, and I'm going to put a single bead on the top of each of, oops, I forgot that one, on the top of each of my rainbow arches. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. And then I'm actually going to flip this around so I can see where this is lining up. I want to make sure that my DSP is behind my cardstock, and I also want to make sure that my stripes are kind of straight. And then I'm just going to lay my finger over that center where I put those beads of glue, just so that they for sure adhere. And that's just going to keep your card from flopping open. If you wanted to, you could have done the whole arch, but I find that if you just do the top of the arch, that's enough to hold the sides in. Okay. Your other option for this it makes it so you can't have any wiggle room, is you could have put a piece of adhesive sheet behind this before you die cut the rainbow out, and then every arch would have had adhesive on it to hold it in place. That's another option, but then you have to be really good at lining paper up, and I am not. So this is how I do it, just a little bit of glue. All right, now that we've got that glued in place, we can actually take this whole piece and put it onto our card base. And I have chosen a Daffodil Delight card base to glue this onto. So let's do that. And again, I am going to use liquid glue, but you can use your favorite glue, your favorite adhesive. It doesn't matter. You could even pop this up with dimensionals if you wanted, but I'm going to be popping up our sentiment, so I thought I'd keep my card a little bit thin. There we go. All right, so with that layer on there, I'm actually going to glue down some hearts now. So the heart dies in this set, actually it's one die that cuts out 3 hearts at a time, and they're 3 different sizes. So what I'm going to do, and again, you could put adhesive back sheets on here before you do this, is I'm going to put a dot of glue in the center of my arch, and I'm going to put 2 dots of glue up here on an angle. So I've basically just created a little triangle. And then I'm going to take my largest of my 3 hearts and glue it into the arch of my rainbow. I'm going to take the medium heart and glue it right there. And then my tiniest heart and put it up a bit higher. There we go. So our card is almost finished. We just need to add our sentiment. Now, when I send you your kit, your banner will be pre-cut. I'll use this one as my measuring guide to be able to create the right size, but I wanted to actually die cut this with you, because if you ever wanted to recreate this, I wanted you to be able to see the process that I used to die cut this. It's kind of cool. All right, so we've got our cloud cover piece of paper. Now this is larger than I need. This piece is actually, I think, a full 4 inches. Yeah, it's a full 4 inches in length, which is much larger than we need to die cut the longest, thinnest die from our Stylish Shapes die. So a lot of the extra pieces on these cards are created with the Stylish Shape dies. They are my absolute go-to for everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our 4-inch piece, and we're going to put our banner almost all the way over to the edge, one edge of our cardstock. Now you can see it doesn't go the full length, and that's okay. Hi, Carmen. Thanks for joining. And then I'm going to roll this, and I'm going to roll it until I can see. I'm not sure if you guys can see on there. Until I can see. How do I do that? There we go. The tip of my banner is just about to go into my roller. I don't want it to. So I'm going to stop, and I'm going to unwind. Okay, unwind. Now that I've unwound, I'm going to pull up my die. You're going to see that it did not cut a whole banner, and that's exactly what I wanted. All right, now I'm going to come in, and you can almost feel it catch in the grooves. There we go. You can feel it catch in the grooves of what has been cut. That means that you're catching into the same dots, and the dot pattern is going to line up. So I've caught into the grooves of what I have already cut. And oops, and then I lost it. And you can use a piece of washi tape here if you want to hold this in place. And then you can see I'm pretty close to the edge of my cloud cover on the other side. Okay, I keep losing. I am going to grab a piece of washi tape. I don't usually, but today my board is a little bit warped, and it seems to be popping out of its grooves every once in a while. So washi tape, painter's tape, anything that's not going to tear your cardstock is going to work for this. So I'm going to feel the grooves again. There we go. And then I'm going to tape that onto there so it doesn't move. There. All right. Now we're going to roll this through. But again, I'm stopping before my point goes in. I don't want the point of my banner to go in. Okay. And then, voila, I have an extra long banner cut. So this piece will be pre-cut for you. So if that seemed really complicated, just enjoy making the one card and then, you know, use a smaller sentiment when you recreate the card. But that I just wanted you to see that technique. That technique can be used with a lot of different dies. So if you find that you like, oh, I love that die, but it's not quite the right size, you can use that technique to lengthen and shorten dies. All right. So now that we have that created, I'm going to grab my Secret C ink, and I'm actually going to show you a little trick. So you can stamp the hello and the darling separately. That requires a little bit more like lining up and being careful. What I like to do is to actually take my stamps and place them onto the label that I'm going to be stamping it on. That way I can make sure I'm getting the spacing I like between the words, on the edges of the words, all of that. And when I'm really happy with how that looks, then I grab a block and I pick it up. Now mine are perfectly spaced, perfectly centered, perfectly everything. And I can ink them up as one thing and go ahead and stamp it. There we go. So that is how I created the sentiment for this particular card. So a few extra steps over just being able to quickly stamp onto a label, but it gave me the look I really wanted because I really wanted a banner that went the full length of my rainbow. I didn't want it to come up short. And if I had used the original banner as is, it would have come up one layer short. So this just gave me that extra length. The other option, this one does go your full length, is the larger banner. But then it's larger and my sentiment looks kind of small in it. So I didn't want to do that either. But we'd have lots of options depending on the sentiment we're using. Okay, so now this is going to get attached with dimensionals. I'm going to use 3 on here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we're going to pop this right underneath our rainbow. Center it as much as you can. Okay, there we go. And then we finish this one with some of our muted palette dots. And so I used the petal pink ones. So let's pop a small one up here and a large and a small down here. And that finishes off our card. So that is the first card from this card class to go. I just think it's absolutely darling and just a great one. You could also stamp like a happy birthday on there from another set. Oh my goodness. And I almost forgot. You actually will have 2 other pieces of paper in your kit. A thin strip of that same paper that we put behind our rainbow. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot that. And I'm going to pop that onto the edge of our very vanilla layer. And glue our very vanilla layer onto the inside of our card. So even though Daffodil Delight is a light enough color, you could for sure just write in it. I do really like that finished look of a proper writing layer inside. There we go. So that is our finished look inside our card. So that is card number 1 for our card class to go. If you are joining late, I was just saying that our card class to go this month is 4 cards. You get one of each design, so the make and take kit to make them. And that comes as a thank you for free with a $60 order using my link. All right, let's see. I'm going to do our second card. Now, this card I did change up just a little bit because I used so much of this paper that I actually ran out and wouldn't have any to send to put into our make and take kits. So this is just a really nice fun fold opening like that. And we're just going to reverse color instead of a Secret-See background with a cloud cover card base. We're going to do a Secret-See card base with a cloud cover DSP. But other than that, it's the same card, and you'll be able to see kind of the look of it. So this card is the rainbow cutout base, and then a whole bunch of different fun pieces from our die set that we're going to use to create our rainbow. But before we make our rainbow, let's put together our card base so that we have somewhere to put it. So this is Secret-See, and even with the cloud cover, I would put a white layer on the inside. You can stamp on this before you glue it if you want. I'm just leaving mine as a nice white layer, clean, crisp layer on the inside. And so I'm going to stamp this right, or not stamp it, glue it right onto this center panel. And then your card base is folded in like that. Now we're going to put some DSP onto those front panels, and I might use my bone folder to hold them down. All right. So you will get all the measurements for these cards as well in a PDF when you get the card class to go. And so that will get emailed to you. So then you've got all the measurements to recreate these with this particular set, or just to recreate the folds with another set. Oh, thank you, Gail. I really I don't know. I do like rainbows and stuff, but I was really drawn by this color palette. The very earth tones, like these are some of my favorite colors. Might have something to do with autumn being my favorite season. So now that we've got our card base created, we can work on creating our rainbow for the front of this card. So I'm going to put the card off to the side and pull in our rainbow pieces. So you're going to see in some future cards that some of these pieces were actually die cut from layers on other cards. It's a great way to kind of save yourself. Now, these little pieces, if you want to have the easy card, put adhesive sheets on the back before you die cut them. Now, I did not. So what I'm going to be doing is just putting a tiny bit of glue onto the backs of these and then putting them down that way. All right, so there's my first layer. This was cut with Secret-See. And all the dies in this set are just so cute. I just absolutely love them. Now, what I did find was that placing kind of the 3 more solid pieces first kind of helped line everything up. So now for this one, I'm going to switch around to my fine tip point. And because the green layer is a little flimsy and flexy, it would be very easy to put it down with the wrong arch shape if I didn't have a real guide. So by lining up the bottom of the yellow piece and the bottom of the blue piece with the white piece that we're gluing these onto, that gets me the right arch in there and the right spacing. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my Cajun Craze arch. So I'm just going to come in and put tiniest dots of glue along the way. These are ultra, ultra tiny. And we're just going to do a bunch of those along the way. And then flip this over. And this one, we can actually use the outside of the rainbow to guide us. All right. Oops. Okay, and because I'm using liquid glue, oops, and I have a piece of extra cardstock stuck in there. Because I'm using liquid glue, it is kind of movable for the first little bit. So I'm just going to press that down and make sure it's sticking before I let go. All right, and now we can add in our kind of more flimsy layers. Now with this green, again, you could do adhesive back sheets before you cut this out. Or you can just do these tiny, tiny dots of glue like I'm doing. You could also do rolled up mini glue dots if you don't like working with liquid glue. All right, there we go. We also have our fine tip glue, which you could be using. So many options. So there we go. That's on. And now we have our leaves to do. So for the leaves, I just do, again, the tiniest little dots of glue, and I don't even do them on like every leaf. Do make sure you get the top and the bottom, but every leaf is not necessary. Okay, and again, I'm going to line that up kind of along, you can see like an imaginary line along the bottom of our rainbow. Line that up there, and then come in and do our other one. Now, if you do get glue kind of coming out the sides, let it dry. And then once it's dry, either grab a glue eraser or grab a white eraser. That works as well. And you can just rub away that excess glue that's kind of poking out the sides. Then you won't have any kind of shiny parts. All right. And there is our rainbow all created. So pretty. And to attach this to our card front, we're actually going to use dimensionals. Now, we don't want dimensionals everywhere though. So what I'm going to do is line this up. I can see on my board, it's kind of a darker line. That is my end point. I don't want to go past that. So putting these two here are easy because it's kind of like the corners. Then make sure my rainbow is straight. And I'm going to follow that line, and I'm going to put one there and one there. So it's 4 dimensionals on here, but they're all going to stay within like the half of the card that's going to be adhered to our card front, because we don't want to glue on this side. If we do, then we can't open our card. So we only want to glue our rainbow to this side so that it will open. So here we go. Peel those off. And center our rainbow. It's pretty easy to center it because you can see the natural arch to it. There we go. So our rainbow is now attached to one side of our card. And now we're going to do our sentiment, and our sentiment's going to get attached in that same manner where we don't glue our card shut. Okay, so this one is just our thanks, but again, it is Secret Sea ink. This, I think, has become my new favorite color. When I first saw it, I kind of went, it's nice. Looks like navy. No, it does not. It is actually my new black. I haven't even used my Memento black ink in I don't know how long. Not since I got this Secret Sea, because it is just so perfect. So now I'm going to put one dimensional on the back of my thanks, but my second dimensional is actually going to go, I'm almost going to like tuck it under, just barely tuck it under my rainbow and put it onto my card front. That's going to ensure that it doesn't go too far over and that it gets onto my label. So now peel that backing off and that backing off. And I'm going to center my thanks under my rainbow. So it goes basically from petal pink to petal pink. And I'm going to just ever so slightly overlap it over the top of, or sorry, the bottom of the white layer of my rainbow. All right, so now this is centered on my card front and it's only attached to one side. All right, now if you're worried that it's going to kind of flop on this edge, which I worried about, You can come in, use the tiniest dot of glue, and glue that tip to the rainbow. And then it won't get floppy on you. And then to finish this card, we are going to add 2 cloud cover dots. I did use the smaller ones, one on each side of our thanks. It just helps fill in the rest of the banner and give it a polished look. There we go. And that is our card finished. So you can see it's a very similar look. I actually think I like the lighter one better. It looks a little bit brighter and more fun. It looks like the rainbow on the rainy day. So that is our second card for this card class to go. All right. Now our third card is quick, 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 and just a lot of fun. And this card you could create in so many different colors. Now you're going to see that both of our pieces of Mossy Meadow actually have cutouts from them. This one's for the banner on our card. This one is for a portion of the rainbow we just created. So it's just a kind of quick and easy way to save some cardstock. Prices are going up on everything. And so just a quick and easy way to use your cardstock without wasting your cardstock. So for this one, we're just simply going to glue a white layer to it and pop this on the inside of our card. So we're kind of mimicking the front of the card on the inside as our writing space. I also really like doing this because this little white piece is only 3 by 4, which means I don't have to write a ton in my card because I only have a little 3 by 4 space to write in. And then once we've layered that, we take our card base, pop this inside. It creates a really nice look having the 3 colors on the inside of the card, the white, the green, and the pink. And you have a sweet little spot to write in. Okay, so that's the inside of our card done. Our outside we're not going to glue yet. Because we want to do our stamping first. So I am going to take my DSP strip here. And I did contemplate not doing the full rainbow lines, but doing this nice petal pink side, I think that would look really nice as well. But I'm always such a sucker for rainbows. So there we go. Now, if you're worried that you're going to make a mistake with your stamping, you don't have to glue this piece yet. You could just place it or even use a pencil line to mark it. But what we want is to make sure that when we stamp our leaf, we stamp it far enough over so that it's centered in this remaining space. So I'm going to get my Mossy Meadow ink and my beautiful leaf. We're going to ink it up. Okay, I re-inked my Mossy Meadow and I feel like maybe I over-inked it. Let's see. Well, actually, no. Okay. It's not over-inked. It just kind of looked like it, but that's okay. It's going to stamp beautifully. And I'm going to come in and stamp this as centered as I can, top to bottom, left to right, in this space that I have. So there we go. There's our leaf. Now you could stamp a leaf on your envelope too if you wanted to decorate it like that. So that is it for our Mossy Meadow because our sentiment is done in Versamark on our Mossy Meadow label. So anytime I am embossing, I love to use my Embossing Additions toolkit. So wipe this down with my embossing buddy so there's no kind of fingerprints on there. I'm going to have to clean up my thanks because I just stamped it in Secret C on the last card. There we go. You can switch up the sentiments, change up what you put on here. You could use the sentiments from this kit or you could go grab your own sentiment from something else. And ink up our thanks. Center that on our label. And then we're going to dip this in some white embossing powder. Now, I happen to keep mine right in my tray. I just put a piece of cardboard over top to keep dust and stuff out of it. Not that dust could ever collect in here. I use it too much. And I just kind of scoop it through and ink that up. Now I can see I didn't do the best job of using my embossing buddy on here, or I touched it too much afterwards. That's probably what I did. So I'm just going to come in with this paintbrush that comes as part of the embossing toolkit. Okay, oops, I took too much off my S. Okay, and so I just don't want any stray embossing powder on here before we start. Beautiful. Okay, so with that all cleaned up, then I'm going to get my reverse tweezers that are also a part of the Embossing Additions toolkit. I'm going to use them to hold my sentiment while I emboss. That way I don't burn my fingers. And there you have it. So you don't want to overheat your embossing powder. If you do that, it kind of loses its shine and almost sinks into the paper. So you want to make sure that as soon as you see it turning, we are just happy with it and move on. All right. Now I'm going to take this stamped DSP layer and we're going to glue it onto our Mossy Meadow mat that we have, the one where we cut our label out of. And we're going to put that on there, and then we'll flip it over and we're going to glue it to our card front. So try to center it top to bottom, left to right. Do your best. Your best is probably better than mine. I'm not fabulous at lining things up, especially when I'm sitting at my desk. If I stand, I find I have an easier time. All right. And then we're going to add our sentiment with dimensionals. So pop those on the back of this. This one's short. I probably just need 2. You could do a 3rd if you wanted. And when I put it down, I want it to overlap my petal pink, my DSP, and show the top and bottom of my leaf. So kind of covering everything. And then we finish this one off with those muted palette dots again. And this time I'm using the Mossy Meadow ones. I used a lot on this card. I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I was having a party with these dots. So what I did is I kind of set it up that I'll be able to create a triangle and a triangle. And then we finish it off over here. So now I've got like kind of the 2 triangles on there, and that makes our dots look pretty balanced. And that is our 3rd card in this card class to go completed. So pretty sweet. Our last one, I don't know, I think it might be my favorite. It uses the cloud cover background and this really neat piece of paper. I actually want to show you this one because you're going to see a difference in the 2 cards. Which one was this? Oh, what? Oh, maybe that's why. Okay, when I showed you the papers, I didn't show you all of the papers because I actually don't have any full ones of this one left. So this one has a really fun Mossy Meadow arrow pattern on one side, and then it actually has 2 of these kind of rainbowish shapes, and they actually fall side by side like this on the paper. So when you go to cut them, you cut them right down the middle. And actually, I guess they would have been like this. One of them doesn't reach the end. One of them goes off the end. And then they both continue their stripes to the full edge. So you can actually cut these at 3 inches and get the 2 rainbows. The only difference between them is this one will leave a little white space and this one won't when you put them onto your card. Both of them, though, leave you enough white space to put your gems or your muted palette dots. Oh, thank you, Carmen. And so, again, I used my base, my border, to cut out my piece for my sentiment. So I'm going to take this little piece of DSP here that I've got that's 3 inches by 4 inches, and I'm going to glue it to my cardstock base. Okay. So with that glued, I am now going to do some stamping, and we're going to tie a ribbon around that before we attach it. So right now it's just off to the side. I'm going to stamp my cloud cover cardstock background, but I wanted to talk to you about that. So you may have noticed that the in colors do not have a full set that you can purchase, and that's because there's been some issues with the cloud cover ink. And it's reacting with the foam that comes in our large size ink pads. So they have allowed demos to purchase them, saying there's also no returns if your color isn't right. But the alternative that they've come up with for people, because obviously we all want to have all the colors, is to get the cloud cover ink using a spot, because our spots, our uninked Stampin' spots, are not foam. They are old school felt pads in here, and there's no chemical reaction that occurs with the ink. There's no problem with the ink itself. It's just a problem with the ink reacting with the foam in our larger pads. So you can take your cloud cover refill and an uninked spot and add it in there, and then voila, you are good to go. So I was actually going to demo, and actually I'm going to put this away. So I do have one for right now. No chemical reaction is happening with mine, but they say it's only a matter of time and they won't do refunds if it does. So that's why they only offered them to demos. But I've been waiting to use my cloud cover ink in a video, because if you've never used an unink spot, I wanted to show you how this works. So you get them in a package of 5, which I think is really awesome, because sometimes I also like to make like 2 colored spots so that you can get like that that like blended look without having to do blending and changing up on your images and stuff. So I kind of like the spots. Or if you've got an older refill for a retired color and maybe something's happened to your ink pad, this is a great way to continue to use your refills, to continue to use those wonderful colors. So you take your refill, you take your uninked ink pad, and you just start. Now I like to do a little pattern. This way I know I got it inked enough. I go across my whole ink spot on the diagonal, and then on the side you can see how far down it's absorbed. So then I come and I do my little diagonal pattern again, but in the other direction. And now you can see it's absorbed down a little bit more, but it's not fully inked yet. And then I go across horizontally, and then I go across in the other direction. And now as I look at my ink pad, I can see in most spots it's actually absorbed down. So I've missed this corner quite a bit. All right, and do a little swirl. And now that should be fully inked. I've used maybe a quarter of my refill bottle, not even. And that is fully inked. So now I'm not going to get too juicy of an image, and I'm also not going to get a dry image when I stamp with this. So now I'm going to come on here, and ink that up, and I can do a few little test runs. Now, if you're worried about over inking it, which is usually what I end up doing, do a couple layers and then test it out, see how it's working. All right, so to me, that is perfect. It's not over inked or under inked. So I now have that gorgeous, it's like a bluish gray. So pretty. I've got that gorgeous bluish gray. I don't have to do a ton around the outside edges of this because I've got my layer that's going to go inside and cover up a lot. So I'm just going to do like a little zigzaggy pattern along the edges. So make sure you press the whole thing down as you go. Oh, I did it again. Oh, well, it's a forgiving pattern. I'm trying to be too quick and I'm not fully pushing down my image. And you can do some off the page and on the page. Oops. And overlap some because you made a mistake. You can also always, which I might do because I really messed that up, is flip your paper over. All right, so let's try not to be so rushy and then we won't make so many mistakes. You can also look at it and you can see if it's inked. I don't think my problem actually is that it's not inked. I think my problem is that I'm not, or maybe that time it was that it wasn't inked. I think I'm not pushing down. Oh my, I've really messed up both sides now. Yikes. All right. So let's see which one looks worse. I think that other side looks worse. All right. That's all good. Oh, I did it again. Okay, well, that's going to be my new thing, is overlapping stars. I'll do it a few more times on purpose or by accident, I guess. And we'll call it a pattern. All right, here we go. Oh, I did it again. I don't know why I'm not. Maybe it's because I always say don't rock it, but this one's so tiny, you might need to rock it a little bit to get it fully inked. There we go. So we're almost done here. And you can see it fades quite a bit on the paper, like it really absorbs in. You can see the difference between the first stamping and the last stamping. It will all fade to be a really nice light look. All right, now with that one done, what I often do is I use a Sharpie. Don't use our Stampin' Right markers. Use a Sharpie so it doesn't fade away. And I write on the bottom the name of the color I used. And when I store these, I actually store them upside down like this. Now, the reason I store them upside down like this is because if you store them this way, all the ink kind of drops down in them. And I want to keep the ink at the surface. And this also makes them easier to find when you're looking for them. All right, so that is how I store them. I find the paper pumpkin boxes are great for storing your little spots in. So another little tip. All right, now that we've got all of this done, we get to start putting our card together. So I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to glue this to my basic white, thick basic white card base. Here we go. Grab my thick basic white card base, glue that down. And then before I glue my rainbow layer down, I'm not going to, I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. Before I put it down, I'm going to tie a piece of ribbon around it. And the ribbon I am using is the gold striped mesh band. And this is actually part of the Celebratory Sips Suite. And I wanted to talk to you about that because this weekend is my Celebratory Sips Stamp Camp coming up. But if you missed out on registering, I wanted to share with you that right now during this amazing suite sale that we've got going on, if you grabbed the Celebratory Sips Suite as well as this Boho Vibes Suite, you would actually get my Boho Vibes card class from today as a thank you from me. And that would also register you for my Celebratory Sips Stamp Camp. So although you would not be able to stamp with us live this weekend, unless you, well, no, you wouldn't, because your stuff wouldn't get to you on time. You wouldn't be able to stamp with us live, but you could watch live and participate. And then you could stamp after the fact, because all the videos are recorded. It'll be there in our Stamp Camp page, just waiting for you at your leisure to come back, watch the replays, and do all of the stamping. And so with our sale, you would get the Boho Vibes kit 50% off, because they discount the lower priced suite. And then you would get the whole Celebratory Sips suite as well. And this ribbon is part of it. It is such a gorgeous ribbon. So I've just wrapped that around, tied a bow, gonna trim my ends. So it's kind of like an amazing deal. And I actually have 3 packets already cut and ready to go. So those would go into the mail as quickly as your product would. So kind of fun that way. So you'd probably have it by next weekend. So yeah, that is something. You can also pair up this Boho Vibes suite with any other suite. I do want to warn you though, it is a sale on all suite products. So you could just grab the ribbon or just grab the dots or something like that. But the way the sale works is if you put a suite and another pack of ribbon in, it discounts the ribbon. It discounts the lowest priced suite item. So if you're popping a suite into your kit, you want to pop a second suite in there and no smaller items from a suite, because it's going to discount the smaller items. So yeah, you want to kind of stick to just ribbons and dots, or just suites, or just bundles in your order to get the best advantage of it. And if you have any questions about how to maximize that, just give me a shout, and I'm happy to help you figure out how to place your order for the things you want to maximize it. All right. But definitely the best deal you can grab today would be the Boho Suite and Celebratory Sips Suite. And then you'll get this class as well as my Stamp Camp, which is 10 cards plus 5 bonus cards. All right, so my circle, I just went over it with my embossing buddy, because we are going to emboss our Sending Good Vibes sentiment here as well. So we're going to ink that up. And we're going to stamp this into the center of our circle. There we go. And grab my white embossing powder again. I don't know, everything looks good embossed in white. Everything. All right. It's almost time to refill my tray. Okay. Here we go. So that's looking pretty good. I just have a little cleanup to do. And the particular cleanup I have to do on this is on my G. So I'm not going to use my brush that came with this. I'm actually going to tap the back, and I'm going to come in with my Take Your Pick tool. There's that one singular one there and a few right here at my G that I want gone. All right. So sometimes I find if it's just like a stray grain, using the Take Your Pick tool is easier. All right, now I'm gonna grab onto that. There we go. So cool. Love it. All right, now this Good Vibes sentiment is going to go on here. I'm just going to place a dimensional at the top and bottom. I don't want them touching my ribbon, because then we're going to get lumpies. So just a top and a bottom. And I want this kind of falling off the edge of my layer. and covering up part of my ribbon. There we go. And then we finish this one off with, of course, our muted palette dots. I think we've used all the colors now. And we're just going to create like a little triangle-y thing here in this white space that we've got. So I'm going to come on in there and one right there. And voila, we've got our finished card. So that is our 4th card from this suite, our Boho Vibes Suite. So let me pull these all in and show you our finished cards. So this is our full card class to go. 4 really sweet cards, all using the Boho Vibes Suite. So the paper, the dots, the stamp set, and the dies. And then I've just finished off all the cards with a little piece from our stylish shape dies. I don't think I actually showed them to you. They're just the best. Circles, squares, and banners, if you're not familiar. So that is our card class to go. For the next week basically until I wake up on June 11th, actually. This card class is free to you if you place a $60 order with me. And yeah, that's about it. I will be live again next Wednesday. It's the 2nd Wednesday of the month, so I think it'll just be a single one-off card. It's also like our final crunch on writing report card, so I'll be a little bit busy. So yeah, you have a whole week to place your order to get this for free. And remember, with that sweet sale and everything, it's the perfect time to actually grab the Celebratory Sips Suite and the Boho Vibes Suite, and then you get 2 card classes with it, which is a wonderful bonus. Oh, thank you very much. Is it Triava? What a beautiful name. I hope I pronounced that right. Thanks so much for watching. And the Celebratory Sips Stamp Camp is actually also available globally. I will have the PDF only for these cards as well available in a few days' time on my shop, on my blog, stampinwithleah.ca. If you go to Card Classes to Go, just the PDF version of this will be available for people outside of Canada who can't order with me. And the Celebratory Sips Stamp Camp is actually already available. If you go to my current card classes, it's there and ready to be joined. And our live event is actually happening this Saturday, Sunday. So if you're interested in that, I'll pop those links into the comments on these videos as well, so that you can use that to access them. So I hope you guys enjoyed these. Have a wonderful day. It's a gorgeous sunny day here, so I'm going to go do some gardening and get some stuff done around the house and enjoy the weather. And yeah, we'll see you all next Wednesday. Bye.